I've actually been here before, in 2017, but the footage I recorded then was garbage, to put it nicely. I knew I'd have to come back, and eventually in 2023 I did. And man, does it look like a storm's coming for Myrtle Beach Mall. Granted, 2017 wasn't the best time for this mall either, but now it's like along the lines of a classic dead mall. Large swaths of vacancy and very low foot traffic. But at least it looks clean and orderly. Smart shoppers are headed to Briarcliff Mall. Originally known as such, the Myrtle Beach Mall would be confirmed in 1984 and would officially open in 1986 with Belk, JCPenney, and Kmart as its official anchors, with a food court, multi-screen theater, and room for expansion. While I was unable to find a precise opening date, a number of hiring ads and sale ads point towards a March or April opening of the mall that year. At the time, Myrtle Beach Mall was the only thing in the immediate area, perched at the north end of the Grand Strand. Aside from an apartment complex in a small neighborhood, everything else was just coastal forest and swamp. Not even the highways were a thing yet, and its only real competition to speak of was the now gone Myrtle Square Mall. But that would rapidly change over the course of the 90s. Briarcliff Mall took off, and in 1990, small expansions would occur with the Kmart and the Carmike Briarcliff cinemas, while leasing negotiations were in the works to draw in more tenants. The mall even boasted about a mall walkers program. However, the mall had never hit full occupancy. Now in 1996, the mall would change hands from Shopco Advisory to Colonial Properties Trust for the low price of $42.2 million. And it was revealed shortly after that Shopco was apparently not very involved with the mall and charged harsh maintenance fees. Colonial Properties announced immediate plans to get more involved and to improve relations with tenants and customers alike. They also announced plans to overhaul the mall, starting with improvements to landscaping and housekeeping, as well as leases to draw in larger chain stores. It's also worth noting that by this time, Belk had opened up a second store at the mall, operating 2 anchor pads which remain as of the making of this video. Sometime in 1999, the mall would see its name changed to Colonial Mall Myrtle Beach. Very creative. Kmart would wind up closing in 2002, which left a hole in the mall among many others across the nation. But while this was a problem, Colonial Mall would score big time by securing a Bass Pro Shops, whom would demolish the Kmart building, build in their place, and would officially open up on Labor Day 2004. However, by this time, competition was heating up, with new freeways providing quick access up and down the Grand Strand and beyond, and a Tanger Outlets now in operation, which supplemented the nearby Walmart and Strip Plaza. Sure, the area was developing, but shoppers had a much larger variety of shopping options, and that's before we factor in places like Broadway at the Beach or Barefoot Landing, or now, the big mall in town, Coastal Grand. It also doesn't help that Carmike Cinemas 10 temporarily closed in 2004, and while it was initially set to reopen, it kept hitting construction and weather-related delays, which kept it closed until 2006, reopening as a 12-screen cinema. In 2007, mall management would be taken over by Jones Lang LaSalle. Around this time, growth seemed to be stagnating in the area, with much of the activity being centralized around Broadway, Barefoot, and Coastal Grand. Myrtle Beach Mall did get to enjoy a little bit of this activity. However, foot traffic and occupancy would over time decline as we go into the 2010s, with some tenants relocating out of the mall due to long commutes by shoppers from the south end of the Strand. In 2014, the mall would be sold once more for $45 million, this time being acquired by a partnership between Peak Financial Partners and Misuma Holdings Corp. They were seen as a positive move for the mall, considering their legacy in purchasing underperforming properties around the nation and reinvigorating them before selling them, allegedly. They would immediately start with a 2014 renovation to update the cinema, expand the food court, and overhaul the mall entrances with a bunch of blue lines. It's not as plain as the entrance before it, I'll give it that, but man, I'm not sure a mural of mismatched window blinds is the best look. In 2016, the partnership company announced plans to over time demall the mall that went, nowhere, actually. They'd announce again in 2019 to completely replace the mall with something called the District. However, these plans never went through, be it due to financial issues or 2020 being, well, 2020, I'm unsure. And speaking of 2020, JCPenney would close as the company went through bankruptcy at that time. Today, the district is still hyped up with people waiting for it to happen. However, I question if that will ever come to fruition, or will become something else entirely. For in 2022, Westridge Lending would file a foreclosure lawsuit against Peak Financial and Misuma Holdings. They'd cite unpaid property taxes going to January the previous year for the reason. Best I can find, it appears that as of 2024, the mall is still in limbo and probably will continue to limp like this until plans are updated and or finalized, or if someone decides it's time to pull the plug. Even now, as more malls than ever close this year, be it in the name of progress, lack of tenants, the coming recession, if it hasn't happened already, or otherwise just unfortunate circumstances, I'm always surprised to see when malls like these have been limping for years, but they just still keep going. Now, before the district, there was another redevelopment plan that I can't find anymore, but if I recall right, Myrtle Beach Mall was supposed to be a cultural hub with a food hall, and in 2017, it at least looked like the food hall was coming in, but temporary walls can be deceiving. Now, is this the best looking mall? Not really, but it could be much worse. But what really stands out to me is that it's still relatively clean and smells decent for how empty and dark it is. I hope the janitorial staff are getting paid well, or at least get benefits. And while the food court is in a sad state, there is still a Corrado's pizza joint in the corner. I didn't eat there for the mood for pizza was just not there, but it is something. And I've tried them before. They're usually pretty good. Until next time, Myrtle Beach, this is Doomie Grunt wishing you and the Myrtle Beach Mall farewell and good luck whatever happens next. Welcome to South Carolina, where stopping in the left lane so you can reach the freeway exit on the far right is the cultural norm.